Hello and welcome to Ingression. I'm your lovable, enlightened instructor, Incredible Hulk. Today we're going to be covering Pro Tips Session 1. So these are the 10 things that if you didn't already know about them in Ingress and how to do them, they are going to make you one of the best Ingress players possible. Just small little quick tricks and tips that didn't belong in their own full-length episode. But before I get started, I have to do a quick shout out to Tim Riker for giving me a correction. If you watched Ingress Fielding 201, I said something wrong. I actually said something the way that I don't do it, and I said it repeatedly, and tossed graphics up along with it. And that is that when you're making a multi-layered field, you should first throw to the anchors and then throw down to the portal that you just threw anchors from. So you want to throw those two anchors and then down from that. So there's just a correction in there. I probably should stop, drinking and filming these things at 1 a.m. But then I have to admit that I have a problem and that my mother was right, and I'm not quite ready for that yet. So let's get started on pro tips. All right, pro tip number 1. And that is, if you are keyforming for something like creating a mega field or creating a multi-layered field, or even just keyforming because you want to do some sort of crazy 100 portals into one operation, you're going to have a lot of time that you're sitting at that portal, so make sure to glyph hack it. Not only are you going to get the extra supplies from it, but you will get those glyph points. And with the new thing that just barely came out as of today of filming of this, I know you're watching now, it's probably been around forever, but as of today, you get additional points for your better speed. You'll actually get AP off of it, so make sure to glyph hack the portals if you are keyfarming it. You know you're going to be sitting there for at least 20 seconds anyways, so glyph hack that portal. Now, number 2. If you have spare time, let's say you're key farming somewhere, or you have a work portal or a home portal, make sure that you are using your multi-hack first, and then using your heatsink. Why is that? Because that heatsink resets that hack count, and it's going to reset it to 0. So let's say you have a very rare multi-hack, and you hack those 16 times, and then you have a very rare heatsink that you toss on top of that, you're going to be able to hack that another 16 times, which means you can actually get 32 hacks in just an hour and a half with a very rare heatsink and a very rare multi-hack. So that's the best way to deploy them if you have the time. If you don't have the time, obviously heatsink and then multi-hack. Otherwise, multi-hack first, then the heatsink to get the most hacks out of that portal. If it's like a portal that you have time on, you're keyforming, or it's a desktop desk portal, or if you happen to have a couch portal, if you're lucky enough to have that. Now, let's say that you are hacking a bunch and your inventory fills up and you say, oh, I need to drop something on the ground. Here is Ingress tip number 3, and that is what's known as the 3-finger roll. So this is the quickest way to be able to drop multiple things. Let's say that it's not a resonator and you can't mass recycle it, and it's like a portal key and you need to drop it. This is the 3-finger roll. You're going to use these 3 fingers. I know most of the time in traffic, you only use one. If you are, maybe having some fun time with a female lover, you're using 2. But this is the 3-finger roll. We're going to use all 3 of these fingers right here. And what you do is you're going to use your middle finger to go to have it over your ops button right up top. So you can see on the illustration, that's the ops button on your scanner. And so you're going to use that. You're going to have your index finger, your pointer finger, right towards the middle of the screen, and you're going to have your thumb below that. And that's going to make it so that with your top finger, you can hit the ops. Your middle finger, you can select the, in this case, the key. And then with your thumb, you can hit the drop, and you can just keep doing that over and over and over again. And it makes it so much easier, it's so much quicker. Basically, the thing that's going to slow you down the most is when you have a problem with maybe you accidentally hit your middle finger twice, or your phone's usually going to be the slowest thing that's going to slow you down at this case. So the 3-finger roll, ops, key, drop, ops, key, drop, ops, key, drop, very quickly. You can just roll your fingers along. Now, another thing to speed up your use. Let's say you were hacking a portal, you were destroying, or you're deploying, and you've had that thing happen where your scanner runs out of XM, and you have to go and select a power cube. If you want to speed up your process right when you're towards the end, before you actually lose all of your XM, use the power cube first. It's going to prevent you from going into that scanner disabled screen and then having to go and select the cube. So you will have to go back into your key or whatever you're doing, or your action, or pulling up your weapons again, but you're going to have to do that anyways. So why not just go ahead and use that cube ahead of time, save yourself the scanner disabled. This is especially important if you're trying to recharge quickly because someone's attacking your portal, or if you're in like an anomaly situation. So use the cube before you run out. Very good tip, number 4. Now, number 5. Let's say there is a portal that you really care about, is a portal that's near and dear to your heart. Maybe it's a portal on your grandmammy's grave, or perhaps it's a couch portal or work portal that you want to make sure is kept around a long time, and it's not deployed fully with 8s yet. Your best deployment strategy, obviously, you know about going as far away from the center of the portal, so it's on the edge of that orange circle as possible, that full 21 meters away. But how to deploy? Well, there's a few different deployment strategies that are going to be the best for you. So the usual one I like to do, if it's just in a random location and it's accessible from all sides, make sure an 8 is on one side, a 7 is on the other side. This isn't good if you're doing a quick deployment and you really don't care about the portal, because it's going to take you a while to click back and forth, but that's going to put your highest energy resonators, the one that take the longest to kill, it's going to put them as far away from each other as possible. So either the person's going to have to go in the middle of the portal and fire off a weapon from there, or if they're firing from one side, they're going to have to use a lot more weapons in order to be able to take down your portal, and hopefully you'll be able to recharge some of those resonators ahead of time. That's, of course, if it's accessible from all sides, if it's like in the middle of a field or something. Now, let's say that your portal is, of course, away from the street a little bit, and there's some areas that are a little more private, like inside of a building. Of course, put your level 8 and your level 7 on the inside, as far away from the street as possible. You want to make your 8 and your 7 as hard to attack as you can. And so that's really your two best deployment strategies if it's a portal that you really care about, making sure that it's going to be harder for them to take out the portal completely, and obviously put an 8, 7, and 6 as far in as possible if you want to be able to keep a link on that as well, and not just ownership on that portal. And speaking of owning a portal, let's say that you have a Guardian portal, a portal that you found in the middle of nowhere that no one knows about, that's far away, it's 10 miles from your nearest location. You had to drive there. Back in the days of the Pony Express, they wouldn't even deliver there because, dang it, it's too far. Well, you want to keep it alive, you want to make sure that it's going to have its best success of not being seen. Obviously, you got to keep that thing at level 1 so it doesn't show up on the map, because you can see a level 5 if you're zoomed pretty far out, but a level 1, you have to go pretty far in order to be able to see those level 1s. So to make sure that you have the best deployment, just make sure you have a single 8 on there. Maybe an 8 and a couple of 1s on it to make it seem like oh, this person just didn't have time to fully deploy it. It's not necessarily a Guardian portal on there, but it still keeps it level 1. If you want to still be able to have the chance to link to your Guardian, maybe it's you're setting up a string of Guardians, and when you're driving across country, you say, hey, maybe I want to be able to link back to one of these. Of course, make sure to do an 8 and then 7 1s around the edge, and toss, of course, 2 AXA shields on there if you have them, or 2 very rare shields. The reason I say that, of course, 2 AXAs is going to give you 95% mitigation. Even once one of those gets knocked off, you still are going to have the 70% mitigation on there for your Guardians. So, but you have to make sure that you have at least one level 8 resonator. Do remember that. If you don't have a level 8 resonator on it, it won't count as your Guardian if everyone else upgrades all of your resonators. You have to have a resonator and be the owner of the portal. So make sure to have at least one level 8 on there. Now let's say that you are doing a lot of linking. There's actually a quicker way to link. It's available on Android only. Sorry, iOS users, if you have an iPad or an iPhone, clearly not only are you going to have a harder time playing Ingress, you've just made bad life decisions overall. I'm sorry. Come over to the Android fold. We will join you. I will not be cross-faction, or I will be cross-faction, and I won't be faction biased, but I will be biased against Apple for a few reasons. And that is that you do not have the back button, which when you are linking and you get that link created, once you've created the link and it says link created, or it says field created, guess what, Android users? You can just hit the back button, go back out. You don't have to watch that entire animation. It makes it so much quicker, and you can do what's known locally as sprinkler linking, where you just shoot links off, bam, 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 and all the iPhone people are going, oh, maybe once this graphic finishes, I'll be able to finally toss another link. And meanwhile, you've launched 5, 6 links, and you're like going, guess what, I don't have an Apple A8X, but you know what, I've got a back button. Yeah, my $100 Android phone has a back button, and you don't. So make sure to just hit that back button once it says link created. You'll still get the points, you'll still get everything, you'll still get the link created, and then of course you're going to be able to shoot off another link a lot quicker. So, on to our next one. Higher resolution screens. You might be looking at 2 different Android phones, and one has this thing, and it's like, oh, it has a 1080p screen, and the other one has a 720p screen, and it's a little bit cheaper. The 1080p screen is actually going to show more of the map for you. So in Ingress, you can only zoom out so far, but guess what? If you have a higher resolution screen, it'll show you even more. So it's better to have that higher resolution screen. Same with your computer monitor. If you're looking at the Intel map on there, guess what? You're going to see a lot more of the map, which means that you can actually zoom in closer, see lower level portals than you would have been able to see otherwise, because you have a higher resolution. So this is a good reason to tell your wife or your husband, or to just buy yourself a 4K television or a 4K monitor, because it's for Ingress, and that's important, isn't it? The family that Ingress is together helps contribute to global warming together. But that's not the point. They also stay together, and that's important. So get as high of a resolution as possible on your thing. If you can't get a higher resolution, next tip is you can actually, in Google Chrome, there's this great thing. If you hit the control button down and then minus, the little minus button up in your little number pad, or if you're on a laptop that doesn't have it up by the little plus and equal symbol, it'll actually zoom out in Chrome. And this is going to allow you to still see the lower level portals. It won't actually zoom out. Make sure you're holding down the control button when you do it, but it'll actually zoom out up to a maximum of what would be equivalent of a full 4K resolution. So they won't, the Ingress map will just show black around that if you try to zoom out farther or use extra little tools to cheat around that. They fixed that over recent years, but you can at least get a 4 times larger view of the area by hitting Control minus minus on the Intel map on a desktop versus. Obviously, phones don't have that. There might be some sort of plugin that I'm not familiar with, but zooming out your map up to a 4K resolution will let you see a lot more portals in that general area. Now, lastly, this is a thing that happens a lot for any player with any phone, regardless of who is your wireless carrier and whether or not you have the evil iOS or whether or not you have Android. And that is sometimes something funny will go on and like your scanner won't connect to the server and it's like having issues and it's like it's lagging and things are horrible and you know you're in a good data area. I mean, your friend is watching porn on their phone like 5 feet away from you, so you're like, of course I should be able to get Ingress on my phone because Ingress isn't as intensive, but it is more fun than porn. Sometimes it depends. Are you shooting it? Anyways, that's not the point. So, one of the things you can do, just go up to if your Android, like pull down. If your iOS, do whatever iTards do. To get to your airplane mode setting, just flick airplane mode on and then flick it back off again. That resets all of your antennas and resets your wireless connection with the server and with everything else. And that's going to give you a chance to redo that data connection and hopefully be able to solve those little issues for you. So those are your 10 Ingress Pro tips that hopefully there's at least 1 or 2 of those that you didn't know, even if you were an Ingress expert, that is going to help you out play better. If you're new, I doubt you knew most of those. So hopefully now everyone will be Ingressing like a Bala. Bala, I can say I'm half black. It doesn't sound half black when I say it, but Bala. Ingressing like a Bala. If you want to make sure that you are an Ingress Bala and you always have the best tricks and tips available to you, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Just go ahead and click that little button right there. Subscribe to Ingression. It's actually my full channel, so I apologize. Occasionally you'll get weird videos of me just playing guitar for some reason. You can go and skip those. It'll show you if it says Ingression at the top, so make sure you get the latest tricks and tips. Click subscribe. In the meantime, for Ingression, I am your lovable, enlightened instructor, Incredible Hulk.